You have now reached your destination. Welcome to the EIP Lounge. Everyday, interesting people.
We can drink this.
Yo, 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 what up, EIP family? You know what it is. It's your boy Rooms.
And it's your girl, Miss Jareen. And shout out to Mr. I Am, who's not in the studio tonight. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. We have 3 special guests with us in the studio right now. I'll just introduce them quickly. We have Bling. These are all radio names. We have Bling, we have KK, and we have ATL. And tonight we're talking about just women and trauma, just a very candid discussion about we as women, what we go through. I was trying to tailor it specifically to Black women because I do feel like our trauma is a little bit different. We experience it and have to go through it a little bit differently, but in general, just what we have to do when facing certain things in life. I decided on this topic the other day. I think it was like last week or the week before last. I was talking with all these 3 beautiful ladies, and we were just sharing stories of things that's been going on in our lives and how it's affected us. And so I was like, I wanted to have this discussion on the radio. So I'm going to allow each of them to introduce themselves. We can start with Bling.
Hello, my name is Blaine, aka Bling, and basically I'm here because I would like to share a few stories about myself.
That's amazing. Thank you. And KK. So KK's a little bit nervous.
Oh, stop.
We don't want her to be nervous. It's a safe place.
Yep.
Okay, tell us a little bit about you and yourself.
I'm Kiki, and I'm just here to talk about things that we've all gone through, experienced, and even if myself have not gone through, just like different experiences, hypothetically, things that you've seen other people experience. So that's why we're here.
Okay, and then my girl ATL.
Yes, this is ATL in the building. Just here to show support for my girl. Excited to be here on the radio and to just have some positive and meaningful discussions.
Okay, amazing. Thank you guys all for coming. So, like you had stated, KK, it's not just situations that we go through personally, but just general. And it seems like all of our stories are similar. It may not be exactly the same, but the stories and the experiences are very similar. So, for myself, I don't know, EIP world, iLive world, I am a single mom of 3 children, not by choice, but I'm blessed to be with them and 42 years of age. And I have story upon story upon story that I can share of things that I went through. And again, like I said, it was so good that I was able to talk with you guys, again, about things that we went through and, how it made us feel. So I know you guys already introduced yourselves, but I just want you guys to go a little bit deeper. Like, how were you guys feeling when we were talking, right? How did it make you guys feel just talking about everything that we went through?
Very natural.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Very natural.
See eye to eye, very natural. Like, we can relate on all type of level. We talk like as if we've just known each other for a year. We trust each other with our thoughts and what we've gone through. So it definitely helps, to even help us realize that, like, I've been to that same situation before. We can kind of share thoughts and stories and just figure out ways to kind of help each other, like in a sisterhood, basically.
Right. That's super important. And I think there was no judgment. I think that was a really big one too. That none of us were judging each other as we were talking. It was just like, oh my God, you too? Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, like, you know what I mean? And I think that's why I wanted to have this discussion tonight, just for other women to hear that, like, there's no judgment. And I don't think things are going to be able to change unless we have these discussions, right? Agreed. So in talking about trauma, I was just kind of really looking up and doing some research. And this, the first thing I kind of want to dive in is like intergenerational trauma. You know what I mean? So I know for like myself, my mom was also ended up as a single mom and having to go through all of that. If you guys just want to share a little bit about your childhood, as much as you would like to share and feel comfortable sharing, and how that shaped you.
Who wants to go first?
Myself? Okay. So basically for myself, my mom had me when she was super young. Mm-hmm. So my goal was not to have children at the same age she had me.
Right.
But, I overcame and I passed 1 year after. So I ended up having my son when I was 16.
Okay.
Which, now looking back in my 30s, I feel like that was more of a blessing than anything else.
Right.
Not, I mean, at the end of the day, I did have a lot of obstacles and a lot of traumas and so on and whatnot. But it still made me stronger and made me the woman I am today.
Right.
So for those that are having children at a young age, I feel like I have a lot of advice
To give?
To give, yes, for sure.
So in seeing your mom having you so young, right? And you said like you were determined not to have children young, but then it happened. How was it like was your mom a single mom or
yeah,
in some sense?
yeah.
She was a single mom. So when you were seeing her through, because you know any single mom is a struggle. Anyone who says being a single mom is not a struggle is that's a lie. So being a single mom and seeing how she struggled with you, did that shape you in any way when you became a mom so young?
Yeah, so I watched her raise me, and as she was raising me, she was very strong, and I feel like I gained those strengths from her when raising my child. With my child, it wasn't a choice. My son's father passed away 3 weeks after I had him, so it wasn't something that was planned. But regardless, I feel like we overcame all the obstacles and, you know, all the challenges that
came with it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And what about you, KK?
For me, I had my first child when I was 17. My mom had her first child at 16, but the difference was she grew up in Jamaica, so she had that family support, you know?
Right.
And she had that whole community behind her, so she was able to like pursue like her career, go back to school, where for me, it's like I had a child, I was 17, I had to literally figure everything out on my own. So for me, it was, okay, I'm doing this and I'm going to raise my children and I'm going to make sure that like, you don't have to go through the same things that I go through, you know, because I'm going through everything right now. So, you know, but you know, it's a struggle, but the stronger survives, you know?
Right.
And you just try to encourage your children to like, you know, like see what I'm going through. You don't, this is not the life that you have to go through, you know? And try to break that generational curse because I feel like it is a generational thing, you know? So it's like, okay, I had a child at 17, like you see what I'm going through, you see the challenges that I had, you see how okay, I was able to take care of you guys, but I feel like life would have been different had I waited. But, you know, again, it's generational. So it's just like having those like open conversations with your kids, just being very honest and being very transparent, you know? Yeah.
I think that's really good. And ATL.
Yeah, I mean, my parents got divorced when I was 7, so my mom basically raised us, even though I didn't understand it at that age, because in the back of my mind, I still always wanted to go to my dad's. And, you know, my mom, she worked like 3 jobs, put herself through school, university, you know, got her bachelor's, master's in computer science. And you would think alone, like that alone would just motivate me to like want to be great and things like that. But all I can think about is, and she was very strict on me. So I'm just thinking like, she just doesn't want me to live. Like, so, you know, when I turned 16, I basically just like, I just turned wild, you know, wanted to like run away, whatever the case may be. And eventually down the line, like a few years later, like she kind of reeled me back in. And she's always been that like just my ear, you know what I mean? Like to just kind of give me influence and just let me know. But she does it in a hard way. She's just like, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Look what I had to go through, this, that, and the other. But it just still wasn't, like it sinks in, but it wasn't really resonating with me. I just still wanted to do what I wanted to do. You know, even she said she thought I would have a kid at a young age, and surprisingly, I didn't have a kid till my early 30s, you know? And then even, like, doing that now, it's almost just like I actually missed out on what I could have become and changed for myself to like, better myself for future. Like, this is my future, and I should have been thinking about that a long time ago. And my mom is still preaching that to me to this day.
You won't stop.
Absolutely. So basically, So
it's funny that you guys all said, like, you know, you saw your mom do it, you saw our mom do it, but none of us really said, like, we saw our moms get help. They did it because they had to. You know what I mean? Like, there was no choice. And I feel like they all experienced trauma of their own. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So it's like, it's funny that, you know, I think, I don't know if it was you who said it, KK, it was like, you know, we coped and I figured it out. But so, you know, getting raised by these mothers who went through things on their own and then just dealt. And now we're learning to just deal. You know what I mean? And I think we need to like teach our children to not just deal, right? Because I think just dealing, it's so, I always laugh sometimes. I'm like, I'm gonna have my breakdown the next 10 years. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'll say, oh, I see a crack. I'm like, let's mend that crack. Not ready yet. You know what I mean? But it's actually really serious, because if we don't get help for these certain things and don't talk to somebody, like it'll just keep piling on. I think that's what causes generational trauma. Because even if our generation does amazing, which we all pray and hope and they are, right? If we don't really deal with what we've been through in the past, it falls on them. So they're going to be having conversations 10, 15 years from now saying, yo, my mom dealt. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I seen my mom just do.
Yep.
And I seen my mom cope. And I think that's what makes me very scared. You know what I'm saying? Because I also saw the other day, I think it was Taraji or someone saying, you know, we all have this label of this black strong woman.
Yep.
And she's like, yo, I'm not strong.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And I was
don't
like,
want
you know,
to be.
But we're raised to be strong.
We're raised to be strong, and we're raised
to be strong.
to cope, but I don't want to be. I don't want to be strong. You know what I mean? I don't want to have to always like be on guard. You know, we had Mo Spence in here a couple weeks ago, or a couple months, last month or so. She's an artist, and she has this album called the Pain and Love album. And basically, like, the first part of the album is just pain that she's went through, abusive relationships, all these things. And then the Love album, she's found somebody, and they actually just got married the other day. Shout out to them. And she made a statement. She was really sick for a while, and she didn't know what was wrong with her. And she made a statement where she didn't realize, like, she was basically tense for years.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That. Yep.
Like, and it made me think, I'm like, oh my God, like, sometimes we're literally tense. Like, we wake up in the morning tense. Like, our body is clenched.
It's on survival.
It's on survival.
survival.
It's on survival. And like, do I even remember what it's like to not be on survival mode? You know what I mean?
And that's why therapy, I will be an advocate for therapy. The Black community, there's like this stigma when it comes to therapy. It's like this, no, I'm okay.
Right.
You know, if you go to therapy, there's something wrong with you. No.
Right.
In order for you to like adjust and move forward, you literally have to like face whatever it is that you're going through and have those friends are nice.
Wonderful.
But it's like with someone that's not biased, it's somebody who can just pretty
Provide
much like
insight.
say, you know, this is what I'm going through. It's a safe place. I can just be open and you know what I mean? You can just talk about somebody can kind of help you maneuver through whatever it is that you're going through, you know?
And we don't do that.
We don't.
No, we don't, especially like in the Caribbean community.
Absolutely not.
I was telling someone at work today, like, we just acknowledged mental health like 10, 15
Right?
years ago. Everybody was mad up until that point. Like,
You're
there
crazy.
was no, like, you're just mad. And I'd be like, Mom, like, what's wrong with them? She's just mad. And I'm like, okay, but
What's wrong?
Is it anxiety? Is it depression?
Yes.
Is it this? Is it that? She's just mad. And I'm like, but you can't just be just mad.
Yeah.
So especially in the Caribbean community, and I guess I'll just say the Black community too, because I'm going to say I'm assuming African community is the same.
It's the Black community.
Where they're not addressing mental health. And I think us at this age that had the autonomy and the ability to understand, like we just have to be better and just have, you know,
and do
more
you
of these
find too, it's like
conversations.
the comparison is like, okay, so you'll have like somebody will say, okay, so I went through this, so I was able to do this, but another person's going through something so similar, and the expectation is, okay, you know what I mean? Like, I went through that, so you should be able to, but it's like two people, everybody deals with trauma in a different way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What might be like hard to me and like, you know, like, oh my God, I'm gonna die about that. It's
Somebody
like,
could lose their cat.
Exactly.
And you could lose a whole family
Exactly.
member,
And
it's the same exact trauma.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's the same exact trauma. Exactly. I you know, I'm actually a little bit guilty of that myself.
we do it all.
Link, I just want to shout out to Linky Links in the building.
Hello.
Fix your face. What's So I used to be guilty of that myself, because I used to you know, I had a very abusive relationship. A lot of you know.
Yeah.
You know my situation, and I used to like hear like, you know, this girl be like, oh my God, he slapped me. I'm like, just slap? Like, that was a Tuesday. I'm like, oh please, you know what I mean? And then I had to stop for that same reason. I'm like, everybody experiences trauma
Exactly.
differently, and so we have to remember trauma affects us emotionally, you know, mentally, physically, right? It affects everything that we do. Bling and I were talking one night, and she made a statement where she's like, it changed me. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh shit, trauma can literally change who you are. And I was on the way here, I'm like, you know, you make statements like, oh, the old Jareen or the old and I'm like, I don't even remember who that was.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even know, did I even like who she was?
Yep.
'Cause I don't know if I even got to experience, I didn't even remember.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like who was I before I experienced
Yeah.
all these things? Do I want to go back to that person? I just, thank you. I just literally like don't know because it changed me so much that I don't even remember who I was at 15, 16, 17. I don't know, you know? So I decided to stop saying, the old Jareen, because I don't
Yeah.
know. Maybe
It's
the
a
old
new
Jareen-
improved.
Yeah, I don't know what the old Jareen would have done. I don't know. I know what I'm doing now.
Yes, exactly.
But, you know, and so, you know, you shared a little bit about...
Yeah. That goes back to saying I genuinely believe in everything happens for a reason.
I do too as well.
So I feel like when something happens to you, it's your choice to either take the positive from it
Right,
or create a new version of you that's not positive.
right,
You know what I mean? So I understand that we all go through stuff, and listening to other people's stories is a big deal because when you listen to someone, you realize, okay, yeah, my situation was a lot harder, but at the same time, they're taking it a lot harder.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
So it makes you understand that everybody deals with things differently, but it's up to you. It's a choice. Because
Right.
as humans, we have choices. So it's up to you to determine how you want to use that struggle or that obstacle or whatever it is. So we
Right.
all go through obstacles.
Yes, yes.
But how could we use that as a fuel to make us a better person?
Absolutely.
Which
Right.
is my thing. And considering that I have children, I can't just think about my hardship and everything I've been through. I have to consider the fact that I have children that I'm raising. So how could I use what I went through to fuel their energy and to fuel, to guide them in the right
Create a
path?
better
Right.
future.
You know what I mean? Create a better future and make them realize that, hey, you've been through this. It's okay. Everybody goes through stuff, and everybody feels anger, and
Right.
everybody feels frustration, and
Right.
everybody feels all those negative things. But where can you push that? How can you use that as a fuel? Basically, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so don't use it as a negative.
No.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where therapy comes
Yeah, because
into
therapy
play.
lets you know that you're not going to say, we're not going to dismiss that what you're going through is not okay.
Right.
It's not okay. But
Right.
you know what? It's not okay, but
And
how
give you the
can we
tools.
change it going forward? How can you
Yeah.
have a better outlook of it? You know what I mean? Because at the
Right.
end of the day, like, for you to think that you're going to just walk through life and life is just going to be peaches and creams, it's not.
It's not.
It's not gonna be
And
peaches
so
and
we
creams,
need to be
you know?
presented with those tools.
Absolutely.
And I think only therapy, speaking to someone with that insight and with that skill
Exactly.
set, will allow us to have those tools. So I do want to get in a little bit deeper. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to dig a little bit deeper. I want to hear a few stories. We will not call names.
Yeah.
But just more a general idea of like something I see ATL thinking. I know.
Because I know when it comes to trauma, like people probably go to like more physical or whatever. When I think about trauma, it's like more emotional for me. Like,
And
it's
it varies.
And it varies. Like the physical trauma, I really can't relate in that sense because
Yeah.
it wasn't that prominent in my life. And if
Right.
something did happen, it's almost like out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
Like, I can forget about that. Whereas the emotional takes over everything. You know, in regards to just like whether it be death in the family
Yeah.
or relationships, and and I've been in plenty of relationships where
Right.
men will want to take advantage of me because I'm too nice,
Right,
like I'm always
right.
nice at first and things like that, and with me there's no gray area. Like
Right.
I'm fully like black and white. Like I can be like your queen or be submissive
Right.
and whatever the case may be, but then as soon as they start to become like emotionally abusive and like using me, they want money, they want this,
Yeah.
they want that, and then like I'll turn into like the most evilest person you will
Right.
ever see in your life,
Right.
And honestly, like I can't even pinpoint one time because there's so much to where
Yeah.
like if I talk about it, I'm gonna cry. So I can't go too deep.
But and I've cried on the show before.
You have?
I have. Remember when I cried? I sat right where you were
Yeah.
with the mic
Yeah.
and cried.
I literally
Yeah.
thought about it today, knowing the topic, and I'm just like, I'm good. I can talk
It's
about
a
this.
hard
But I'm just like,
topic.
it's very, very hard because it's something like, I kind of want to like leave in my past because when you're thinking about, like overcoming trauma, I'm thinking like, okay, you have like self-help books. You're thinking about, listening to audio books or, you know, meditation, and then, you know, there's the therapist. I've done it all, you know, and for me, like, it does help and I'm not saying therapy is bad. Therapy is very good. Yeah. It always fuels me and helps me in the moment. Right. And then sometimes I think like, oh, okay, I can do this. I can do this. Okay, a session done. And then like anything can trigger me, and it leads into my next relationship, because then it's just like, I don't even give them the benefit of the doubt, because I'm automatically thinking they're going to treat me like that. But then I'm good at first. But then it's just like, okay, every man is the same, you know, putting me down, using me, cheating on me, whatever the case may be, you know. So sometimes I feel like, okay, maybe I just need a break. But then again, another part of me is just like, I need love too. You know, you know, I want to be in love. I want to have a full family. I want to get a house with a wife picket fence. I want all of that. And I wanted that for such a long time. And I even feel like me having my son, like being a single mother, like in my early 30s, and like I really thought I would have that, but my past relationship shaped me to where like I eventually turned into that person I was before that I didn't want. So it kind of like destroyed like that relationship, you know, where I actually found like the good person, you know? Right. But then, yeah, just everything from my past and even probably going to my future, I'm just scared, you know? You're scared. To where I just think like in this fairy tale, like maybe I'm just going to wait for my Prince Charming to come. I don't know who he is. I don't know if I'm going to bump into him at Tim Hortons. I don't know, whatever. But all that, the emotional trauma is just, I feel like it just stays with me, and I don't want to think like that. Like I feel like I'm going to change. But at my age, I feel like it's just not going to happen, because it's just happened at an early age, you know?
Do you think like that's even fair for yourself? You know what I mean? Because it's like, you know, you thought you were over it, and it's that coping mechanism again. So we coped, so you just gloss it over until the situation comes up again, and then it resurfaces, right? And it's like, when, you know, I hate when sometimes, and I do have to say, some men, I do talk a lot about men on this show, some men don't take it serious. You know what I mean? When they see a woman, they're like, oh, she have baggage and she have this. But it's not just baggage. Like, it's deep, seated, like, you know, it's so deep seated that it affects the way you walk. It affects the way you look at someone. It affects the way you talk. You know what I mean? And we don't want that for our kids.
No. You know? But do you really think that it stems from just like your adulthood? Because I feel like for me, I feel like I experienced trauma as a young child. You know what I mean?
I think it does. And I think what happens is, so you experience as a child, and then you get over. Then something else comes again.
Absolutely.
And then you get over it. So now that's been added.
But it's like, you know, it's like, you know, if you grew up in like you know, your like, for me, mom, don't be mad at me. Your parents' relationship, you know, where you grew up in like, my parents were married growing up, but it was an unhealthy marriage, you know, and it's like a lot of like emotional abuse and maybe even physical. And then you kind of see where it's like you tend to, like, as women, find partners that are similar to your father's.
Yes.
You know, the emotionally unavailable, where you think is okay for a man to love you, this is how he has to be. You know?
Right. I think you are right. We tend to make decisions and don't even realize subconsciously that it's stuff from our childhood. Similar. I know for myself, I stayed in my marriage. I should have left my marriage from early on. And he's probably listening, and I really love him. You know, I should have left my marriage from early on, but my mom's marriage didn't work. It was abusive. So I was very determined
to make it work.
My marriage is gonna work. Sister Jiva, one daughter, I gotta have a marriage. And you know what I mean? Like, it's going to work. And, you know, I'm gonna change him. It's gonna be okay. And I can't let people look and say, oh, you know, Jiva, and now her daughter, you know what I mean? Ends up, like, I was so worried about what are people gonna say. And so I made decisions based on my childhood and not even realizing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and then again, you just cope. Yeah. You just go through it. You shed a few tears and you just cope. You know what I mean? I think you wanted to say something.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say is, okay, the same way I believe everybody deals with trauma differently, I do believe that you heal differently.
Right.
So to somebody, you know, counseling might work, but to be honest with you, I've attempted counseling and I went in the office. Yes, I walked in and I've had a conversation and I lied the entire time.
Why did you lie to the counselor? I hope the counselor is not listening.
Exactly. Because once I stepped in, I realized that me and him don't see eye to eye and his life is different and he won't comprehend what I'm saying. Which you kind of have to be able to connect with the person that. So, long story short, the best thing that's ever worked for me is God. So, and it might be different for somebody else, you know what I mean? But for me, I feel like I've always had a strong connection with God when I was, from when I could remember. And I feel like me having a conversation with God gives me healings. And not even just that, just being by myself. Being by myself and just kind of acknowledging what I'm feeling, whatever it is, I'm feeling it and I'm facing it. You know what I mean? I'm eye to eye with the anger. I'm eye to eye with whatever. If I'm angry, don't come around me. You know what I'm saying? So I went through that transition of feeling angry, feeling depressed, feeling whatever. All those emotions that anybody could ever experience, I feel like I've went through it. You know what I mean? But when I talk to somebody and they're dealing with their healing process, their healing process is completely different from mine.
Absolutely.
Just yesterday, I was having a conversation with my niece, right? And she was saying to me, she went through, she experienced something when she was super young. And she went through counseling and they helped her draw and this and that and like a lot of different steps. And I was like, oh, that would never work for me. So I didn't agree with her. But after she explained what it did for her today, which is 10 years later or whatever, I realized it helped her. And I said to her, I'm like, I agree. Why? Because I feel like it would have never helped me at her stage, but it helped her. You know what I mean? So even though we all go through trauma, and like I said before, it could be a cat or your
whole family.
Exactly. It's just trauma is trauma. You know what I mean? But it's just recognizing it and then I feel like dealing with it head on your own terms. You know what I mean?
But I think that's the key point is you have to deal with it.
You have to deal with it.
At some point. Like you can't have it bottled up. You know what I mean? Can I ask if when you went to go speak to someone, was the person Caucasian?
Correct.
Yeah. So the importance of Black therapists is crazy. So my cousin, she was supposed to be on the show today. She's a therapist in Delaware. She's just going through some things with our family right now herself. So she just felt she wasn't able to come on today. But prior to that, I was also looking on Psychology Today, the website, and I felt so good to see there's a whole section for Black therapists, like pages, like in the GTA. You know what I mean? And you can pick like what you're experiencing, and so there's like registered social workers, there's psychotherapists, there's psychiatrists, there's psychologists. There is all these abundance of people that are out there that you can speak to. You know what I mean?
Can we get their number?
Listen, I'm gonna access it because I want to have another show about domestic abuse, but I was so happy to see, like I was smiling when I was looking at it, and I'm like, but I don't think a lot of us know that that's even available there. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, oh, I don't want to speak to someone who's Black, but where do I start? So Psychology Today is the website, and you can put in like Black therapists in Toronto, and it will bring up with their picture. Some of them have a video. Their costs, unfortunately, in Ontario, those things are not covered, which I feel like they should be covered because it's very expensive, but we all need help, to make this country better. But amazing, so you can like I said, do it for, youth and adults and, anything sexual experiences you went through, or any, there was a list, rooms, sorry about that. There was a list of different type of things that you can speak to somebody with. So definitely, I think we should utilize that more. And I think maybe that was the problem, is that, like you said, you couldn't connect. And I have some Caucasian friends who are like, oh, my trauma is trauma.
I know it's opposite for me,
and it's not,
because I honestly preferred. I felt like the fact. that shame.
Yeah.
Because I felt like me open up to somebody that looked like me, walked like me, talked like me, I could not be as open. And it's weird. That almost shames me, like, okay, who do you know? Like, you know what I mean? So for me, it's somebody that was different. And it might be different for everybody, but I personally felt more comfortable with someone who just, I don't know you.
Right.
You know?
I was scared they're gonna call Children's Day.
Really? I was.
But that's a serious. That's a serious
Like,
fear. Why a lot of people don't share. I remember Children's Aid coming to my house during my marriage, and I taught the kids, like, yo, you're not chat nothing. You know what I mean? And I can remember my middle son, and she asked him, she's like, is there anything you're afraid of in the house? And he said, yes. I was listening. And he said, yes. I was like, oh, God. Give it I'm like, let me pack his bags, because they're about to take it. Let me just pack his bags. And my son, the middle one, Amar's like, I'm afraid of ghosts.
They're like, thank you, Jesus.
I was like, thank you, Lord. She just looked at him and blinked his eyes. And she just didn't bother. But that fear was there of like, oh my gosh, because I feel like the system is built not to work for us. Yeah. So immediately in a situation like that where they should, I feel like, be pulling the person who's doing the offense out of the house, they're pulling like the person, the kids, like everything, like they're disrupting the whole household. So I do So I do understand that fear of not wanting to share.
I lost my
It's okay.
My son's father. I lost my son's father when I was 16, right? Mm-hmm. So I looked around and I was like, nobody's gonna help.
Yeah.
Like, and if anything, people are against me, looking down on me, expecting me to fail. You know what I'm trying to say? So for me, it was me against the world. Right. So how could I genuinely trust somebody to speak to them about how I feel? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. I had no choice but to use that strength that my mother showed me, whether she was going through trauma or whatever it is. I had to pull that strength in and pull up and then fit. And guess what? Today he's 20 years old.
Amazing.
He's graduated, scholarships, university, basketball player. So I'm proud of myself. Yeah. You know what I'm trying to say?
So you did good.
He's a role model.
You did good.
You know what I mean? It's not even just me. It's a matter of our strength. But imagine we had help. And I'm not talking about baby father help or whatever, because guess what? My thing is in bashing black men, because at the end of the day, my son's father, he was full force in. He passed away. Right. So it's a matter of I was by myself.
At 16.
And nobody was there. Yeah. My mother had her children. She had me at a very young age. Right. So she had her children at the same time I had my kids. Right. So my son, my mother had 2 children within the same year of me having my son. Right. I had zero help. Right. I didn't feel sorry for myself, and I don't encourage anybody to feel sorry for themselves, because I feel like that's a crutch. Right. You know what I'm saying? And it basically stops you from moving forward. But I've never gave credit to myself, right? Because I feel like I just did what I had to do.
Yeah, but you should give credit to yourself, though. And then
for me, I feel like I give all women credit. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because I feel like when we're faced
with adversity,
we go full force.
We have to. We have no choice.
We have no choice.
We have no choice to crumble, and I apologize.
No, it's okay.
It's just
a beautiful person.
Hearing that 60, where was my help? Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And the thing about it is, it's like your help. I have to be so thankful for the sisterhood that I had. Yeah. Because it was my friends when I was 19, having to work a job, and my job's through to 11. And it's okay, where are my kids gonna go? Who's picking up the kids from school? It's my friend that's picking up the kids. Yep. Right. It's my friend that you know what I mean? It's my friend that has to drop. If I forgot a lunch, it's my friend that has to go and bring them lunch. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's it takes a village. It really does. Yeah. That's what the importance is. You have to
That's definitely one thing that I you guys know. Yeah. I'm a kids person. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
bringing them to bling bling.
My daughter was there for 5 days.
Bringing them to bling the whole summer.
But guess what? I love kids, yes. Yeah. But I've also been blessed to be surrounded with clockwise people. Right. These guys have been my friends
forever.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I know if I say I give up,
Yeah.
they're there.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that's important.
It's important.
Yeah, I think that's really important. You guys have been friends.
it's
I
have
can
to have a
attest to
village.
that. You guys have been friends for a long.
You have to have girlfriends where it's
time.
like there's, you know, like there's.
I think
Girl,
it's a gift.
this
I
is
don't
what's
think
going
it's
on.
something that
Yes.
you could just get.
I know it's
Yeah.
like, but
Gift.
it's like that. Like for me to be able to like have friends where it's okay, like. There's no shame. There's if I call you and I say, "Girl, I'm having a breakdown," it's okay. We're coming
Right.
to get cakey. Like,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no. This is like everything's just open. And
Right.
A lot of people don't have that.
They don't have that, and they don't want to have
They
the
definitely don't
discussions
have
about
that.
it either.
Because you're gonna have a girls that be like, "Girl, you know."
And then they're on the phone with the
Yes.
next girl saying,
You know,
who
this is what
just
she's
called
going
me?
through.
You know what I mean? And then so then it's like it's
I'm the one that
Shall
be
lose
like,
our mind.
you need to get it together. Blah blah blah.
Yes, amongst ourselves,
Yeah.
though, you know, it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
hey, you know what? This person's going through this. Let's go there right
Right.
now. We're
Exactly.
going there. We're pulling
Right.
up.
We have to, and especially unfortunately in the city that we live in.
Yes,
It's a toxic city. Let's be honest.
Absolutely.
You know what I
We
mean?
weren't born there, so
Like-
that's the blessing. That's the blessing.
Because that is really that's
Yeah.
what's really needed. And I think, you know, again, it's like mentioning no judgment. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like
Yep.
it's
A safe
okay.
place.
It's okay to forget lunches.
Yes.
It's okay to forget your kid to bathe in the night. You know what I mean? Because you got tired. It's okay. Like those things are okay because it happens, and sometimes you just have to be vulnerable. And I think we live in a society where we're not allowed to be vulnerable. I decide I'm gonna be vulnerable. I'm gonna
Where
cry
we're
when I
forced
want to
to
cry.
create our
You know what I
own-
mean? Yeah, no, I'm gonna cry when
I
I
don't
want to
want to
cry.
be tough
and I'm gonna
anymore.
wanna-
I'm not the tough cakey anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to.
I don't want
I'm not
struggle
going
love.
to. I'm sad. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like I wake up today and it's like, what's wrong? Nothing. I'm just sad.
I wanna
You know
lay
what
in bed
I'm
all day.
tired. Like it's okay. I just don't want to today. You know what I mean? And that's okay. You know what I mean? That's what we have to keep telling people, like that's okay. I know I used to always like with my daughter have this narrative of like when you get older and you know get a job and you go to university and you get a job and you find a husband and you have kids, and I was like, no, that's too much pressure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now I'm like, hey, when you get older and you excel in the career that you choose to excel in, and you have friends and you travel and you get to know yourself. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like whatever it is you want to do, with some guidance, of course, you know, but whatever it is you wanted to, I decided to take that pressure away from her because I had that pressure.
It's
And
amazing.
yeah, that because having
wish I
that
had
pressure,
that.
we didn't, right?
never
It was
had
like,
that.
and then when it didn't happen, we seen the disappointment on our
I know.
parents'
It's like me when I was having a child at like 17. There was like this shame. It's like your mom's friends talking about you. The churches was talking about you.
Yes.
Everybody's like, and you just like you're holding your stomach like, oh my god,
Right.
I killed a man.
Right. You might as well
I'm just
have.
having a baby.
Yeah, you might as
It's
well
the
have.
same thing, you know,
what I
and
mean?
it's like
Yeah.
this shame. And it's funny because I saw one of my friends. Okay, I saw a child, a little 18, having a baby, and you know they're doing like baby showers and gender reveals, and I'm like, that would have never been me
At all.
because we were not allowed to do that
At all.
It's like you have to go in the room. You're pregnant.
Yeah.
My mom's friends coming over, go in the room because
Yeah.
you're over there.
The shame.
The shame.
The shame. And the shame. And that shame is such a bad thing.
And that's traumatic on its
That's
own.
trauma on its own.
It's very
Going
traumatic.
in the room and
100%.
knowing that this is how your mother,
Absolutely.
your mother,
And your mom
looks at
didn't
you.
feel like it, but it's because of like her peers
What
that she
she-
has around her. They're making her feel some
Right.
type of way over it. So it's just like it kind of like trickles on to you because you can
Yes.
see the embarrassment in her eyes.
Of course,
You know.
yeah, of course, and it's because she's worried. What are people gonna say?
And I can kind
this
of get
and
it now
this.
because Deja's 18, and I
Yeah.
look at her and I'm like, Deja's a baby. I can't see what the
Right.
what the like you know what I mean. I can't
Yeah.
see.
It's funny because
Yeah.
just yesterday I was with her son and he said to me, he's like, you know what? He's like,
Told you what I said.
no.
Oh.
He said to me, I remember when we used to drive around and we used to do silly things and I didn't understand. He's like, I thought you were just a big kid. He's like, but you were my age.
Yeah,
Yes.
you were young.
Do you know what I mean?
You were
And
young.
he's like, you're doing the things that I was doing at that age. I'm like, Kiki, we were only 16.
Yeah,
when
you
we
guys
had
were
that.
young.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
you guys were young. You guys
I
were
look
young.
at my daughter. She'll be in the room all day. She's like watching shows, and I have to make her breakfast, make her dinner.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
God damn! I'm like, my poor mother.
Yeah, having to know that that's
I
what
kind
you
of get it
did at
now,
17.
But
So I actually have a question.
what is
At the
it?
mill, rooms I got to step up. So my thing is, how do you women feel? It takes two to tango, and you guys are talking about trauma and the shame when you guys were young having kids. What about the male aspect? Like, because it seemed like it's unfair.
It's not, yeah.
Well, when I mean unfair, I'm talking about like it seemed like it's all on the women and the girls. Be like,
Yeah.
oh, shame, lock up, but the men's just like
That's a
big
great
up,
point.
like you know what I mean. It's just like yo, like we have no shame. Everyone's like, oh, okay, you have a kid, take care of your pitney. Yeah. But you know what I mean, and that's it.
Yeah.
So how do you guys feel? Does that mess you up a little bit, or does that kind of play a little factor of the trauma being like, okay, so the guys get off easily, or the baby daddy get off
Now
easily,
I
but
get
then,
it though.
you know
I
what mean?
get it now for men, like, because looking back now on my two older kids, their dad, and I saw like when I had my first son, his mom sent him away far away.
Right.
And I was angry about that. He wasn't there when I had it. You
Right.
know what I mean? But now I look back and I'm like, I was angry at her because I felt like, how could you do that? But now I look back, I'm just like, it was hard for her because you're
a
seeing
baby.
your baby having a baby.
Right. Yeah.
So you're just thinking, okay, let me just let him go have a better life.
Right.
And then on the flip side, now my brother had a child at 19. He had like basketball scholarships. He decided because my mom was different, I'm gonna stand on it and I'm gonna take care of my child.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right,
So
right.
it's like different scenarios, you know what I'm saying? But you
Yeah.
can't be angry at the person that decided to like step forward and do what they needed to do because
Right.
it's hard.
Right. Right.
It's very hard, you know?
I feel like as women, we, no matter how much a man wants to be there, and you know, if you had a child at 17, right, for instance, right, since you asked the question, if you had the child at 17, I feel like the burden you would take compared to your 17-year-old girlfriend would be completely different. Because why? She's having to breastfeed. She's having to stop going to school. She's having,
Yeah.
you know what I'm trying to say? Compared to you. But, and then again, not to take away from how your life would change, you're going to have to start thinking about the future and like, you know, putting yourself, like her brother, for instance, putting his life on aside and focusing on the child and so on. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like as women, we take on more than the men.
Definitely, because you have to understand in that moment. Sorry, I thought I'm talking loud now. In that moment, this is where you guys' minds change. You know?
Yes.
So now you're not just thinking about yourself; you're thinking about your baby.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. For guys, we're still immature.
Yes.
In that sense, so if at 17, as my lady was saying about like her brother having scholarships the whole work
Yes.
and stepping up, right? Most guys would be like, okay, breastfeed, do your thing. I still gotta play basketball.
Yes.
I still gotta go here. You know what I mean? I still gotta do a little bit of clubbing. Okay, I'll come back, see my baby, kiss on the forehead, and bounce.
Right.
So men, we don't. I believe we don't go through that trauma that you guys go through because
not
at the
the
end of
trauma.
the day. Or the struggle,
Yeah.
you could say a little bit,
Yeah.
right?
It's
of that.
different. It's different because it might be, for me, it might be a big deal, but for you, it's also a big deal. Do you know what I'm trying to say? The same way trauma is different for everybody, it's the same concept with men and women. So I feel like we just take on a
More.
bigger burden.
Absolutely.
For example, my son's father, he was around my whole pregnancy. He passed away 3 weeks after my son was born. But the entire time I was pregnant, I watched his transition. I watched him change his entire life. I watched him change his wardrobe. I watched him get us a house that was rent to own. He was only 19 years old. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
He's one of the rare ones. Let's
Yes,
be real.
but then again, his circumstances didn't allow him to give his child the opportunity that he wanted to give him. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's where it all differs. That's why for me, it's hard to judge other men because I feel like there are men out there that are willing to go above and beyond,
So-
but just didn't
Quick
get the
question.
opportunity.
Was it like for both of you cases? Because for your brother,
Yeah.
was it your mom, and for your son's dad, was it his mom that was kind of like,
No.
you guys need to?
It was him.
I
Was
think
it
it was just my brother, just who
Yeah.
he was, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like with her,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my
So
brother
Brian-
grew up where it was just like my parents were married.
Right.
And then when my brother was born, my parents separated. So it's funny how like different circumstances,
Right.
different things will happen because again, my brother grew up without a father, but my brother is now like the most outstanding dad you could ever think of.
Right.
And he never grew up with a father.
Right.
But it's like, you know, different things changes you for different ways. You know what I mean? The outcome of it is completely different because you have men that grew up without fathers and their crunches. Oh, I never grew up with a dad, so I don't know how to be a dad.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's what we were saying last
Yeah.
week. We were saying that
Yeah.
last week on the show because we were talking last week about absent fathers.
Yeah.
Well, absent parents.
So was
Yeah.
this your younger brother as well? Or,
This is
or
my younger brother.
younger brother.
So, but I guess we could say that his surroundings, right, make him see like, okay, I gotta step up and be a man. So even if the parents like now he's looking at bigger sisters, auntie.
Yeah, he's seeing everything
I
around
think it's
him.
outlook.
Yeah, I think it's outlook
I
a
think
lot.
it's outlook because the truth is, certain men will see something and perceive it in a different way compared to another person.
Right.
So it's all
perspective.
about yes, perspective.
Yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
for him, he chose to look at it in a way where, okay, I have to be there full force because I seen my older sister
Right.
and my mom go through this. Where another man would look at it and say, hey, they got it together, so they can handle it on their own. Let me just go do whatever. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right, but kind of piggyback on what you're saying, but as a man as well too, right? If a man or a boy, brother, whoever respects women and respects their sisters, especially,
Yeah,
their minds want to change.
absolutely.
In what way though?
So maybe it's the way they were raised.
I believe in a positive way, of
Yeah.
course, right? So for them to be like, I don't think your brother or whoever is going to be whatless to be like, okay, because he already knows, okay, maybe mom and dad split up.
I believe
But
that's
the
your
sisters,
outlook.
Yeah.
Which is the outlook, right?
Yeah.
But
Right.
the sisters, right, and aunties, whoever are coming around will be like,
Yeah.
what are you dealing with?
And you know what too?
I believe that's his
it-
outlook because guess what? I've seen men that, for instance, not to touch on subjects, but I've seen men that have watched women around them, single mothers, sisters, and whatever, go through stuff and they're assholes.
But do you think it's? Do you
And they're
think,
selfish.
let me ask you a question. Do you think also it's like? Because for me, my brother knows you cannot come around me and not take care of your children.
Right.
It's like we, you know what I mean. So do you think as a woman, it's like what we allow? Because it's like if a mom, because there are moms that knows their son's not doing what they need to do,
Right.
and they'll still be supporting. You can't come to Christmas dinner.
Right.
You can't come to Easter if
So,
you're not out there taking care of your
I
child.
think that's what I was trying to get to earlier, and we did go a little off topic, but that's okay. No
We're
problem.
all the way off topic.
But part of it is, and that's even like we can weave it right back into trauma, is the calling out of people.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we need to call out more people. We need to
Absolutely.
say, hey, yo, you're wrong. Like, you're my
Exactly.
friend, I love you. You're my brother, I love you. You're my sister, I
Yes.
love you, but you're wrong.
Yeah.
And this is why you're wrong. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And maybe you need to go get help. You know,
Yeah.
do you need me to help you?
Yes,
Find help.
exactly.
And I think that's the only way that like these things are gonna change.
But do you think, and that's to see trauma again, because I
Yeah.
find that some mothers that go through their own trauma, they think it's okay. So when their sons are doing the same
Right.
thing, they're not even acknowledging the fact that they are there's
So
that inner turmoil that they're dealing with. So it's like, it's normal for them.
So do I think that necessarily that there's hope for the generations before us?
I think there is.
You think so? I don't
think
think so.
so.
I think
What?
I
don't
think so, Jareen.
Listen,
There is.
I think these, women and men in their 70s are just. I know a couple that's in their 80s.
I'm not talking
and-
about them, though. I'm talking about the 20-year-olds.
Okay, so
That
what
the
I mean,
children that we're
so
raising.
generation before us.
Exactly. They're done.
Just so after us. So the generation
They're done.
after us, yeah, there's hope for generations after us. But the generations
Yes.
bufore us,
Oh, who cares?
we can't look
Right?
at that. That's done. Yeah. They're
We,
set
the
in their
mothers, are
ways.
not tolerating it.
They're set in their ways. These people
Absolutely.
And that's
are
why I think it's
80s,
important for
70s.
us to speak out, is because we could actually influence the future.
That's
compared
it.
to
Yes.
teaching old dogs new tricks. You
Right.
can't.
Right.
Like,
I can remember telling my son at one point, I was like, yo, you're not gonna like me, you're not gonna be my friend, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Because I have to tell you certain things about yourself. You know what I mean? Because if I don't tell you, then and like you said, I'm not gonna pretty up certain things.
No,
That's why
we're
sometimes
not.
he don't like to talk to me. Because I'm not gonna pretty up certain things. Even with him and his girlfriend, I don't choose sides. I'm very much like,
Yeah.
listen, yo, you're wrong and you're wrong.
Yeah.
You both are wrong. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like sometimes I'm even like, yo, why do you even deal with him? You know, like,
You're what?
like
Yeah.
you guys are young, go experience life, so I'm very much about just in the last probably this year I just decided I'm just gonna call out everybody when I'm seeing, and I want people to call me out also. I don't like it sometimes. I get defensive, I sometimes
You
I
gotta
get
check for
defensive.
people around you.
I
You
get
really have
defensive,
to.
but then I have to remember that again, these are people around me that love me.
Absolutely.
They want the best for me. They want the best for my children.
Absolutely.
So I gotta sometimes take what they say and apply it.
Yeah.
But it's hard. It's hard. But I'm like, I think we need to call out more of these things, whether it be emotional trauma like you're
Yes.
experiencing, ATL, you said, was more emotional for you, and seeing someone doing that to someone else, we have to call that out, and sometimes, like you said, just calling, sometimes your friend will call you and say, hey, I'm having a rough day, but sometimes us just reaching out too. And be like, hey, yo, you're good? You know what I mean? Like, haven't heard from you. Are you okay? What's going on? And I think like we all need to do that more. I think that's the only thing that's going to give us hope. Yeah. And if we don't do it now, then again, Deja, our kids are going to be having this conversation saying our parents, you know what I mean? Yeah. They went through trauma and they went through, like, it's coming just now. Like, they were strong. I don't want to be strong. It's coming just now. I'm in my 40s. You guys are in your 30s. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's coming just now where they're going to have conversations. And I want the conversation to be like, yo, we went to therapy, or me and my mom did this, and I was able to self-reflect, and I was able to learn, and I was able to do this and apply this. And, I think, right?
Yeah, but do you also think
my mom still thinks I'm a virgin?
Bad girl. Oh my God, she really?
Yeah.
But do you also think though? I find when we grew up, I don't know, like in the Caribbean household, it's like sit in the corner and shut up.
Right.
Same
if
concept,
you this like remember the saying, you keep yourself in a child's place.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like you can't like say, oh, I'm mad about something. I don't agree with you because you're talking back.
I tell my mom all the time, my poor mom, poor Sister Jiva, she has to plead the blood like every day. Because she will say something and I'm like, you're wrong.
Yes, they don't like that.
I don't agree.
And for me, my children, it has to be, I need you to understand that you are able to express yourself.
You have to
explain to me what's going on, and even if you might get upset, it's a safe place.
It's a safe place.
That's
the key word, is a safe place. You. So I definitely in my old age I call out my mom. And she don't like
in
that.
a polite way, right?
I have to because I don't want to get boxed down. I thought she can still box me down, but I call out my mom, and I call out my uncles, and I call out my aunts, and I'm like, that's wrong, or that's not really nice. How would you feel? You know what I mean? And well, a long time, I just bought it. Yeah, that's fine, but it doesn't mean it's right.
My mom has never owned up to anything. She doesn't feel like she's
I do it too,
wrong.
though. Deja be like to me, she'd be like, Mom, she'd be like, you like, I'd be like, whatever. And she's like, Mom, she's like, and I'm like, you're wrong, Camille.
Yeah,
like, you're really wrong. Like, because that's how I was raised. It's like, don't talk back to me.
Yeah. And that's
it.
You're
raising your voice to, like, you know what I mean?
But expressing yourself is not talking back, and that's what we have to get on. With your mom not, like, ever owning up to her wrong, right? Does it create, like, friction in the house, or?
Well, it kind of does, but I've kind of, like, at my age, I've gotten used to who she is as a person, and I've known that for a very long time, so I don't read too much into it. But it's funny because early when I was talking about, like, the emotional trauma and things like that pertaining to relationships, and then when you were talking about, when it's just, when it becomes surfaced, and then when it comes to light, and then, like, it kind of hit me because I almost went over the fact, like, I didn't even talk about it. I'm just thinking, like, with my parents and stuff, and them getting divorced, and him being abusive and things like that, like, I never talked about it. I thought that was, like, normal. So now I just realized, I'm like, so the emotional stress I'm talking about in relationships now, like, it comes from the past. It's like
way back.
Where I'm thinking, like, it's okay for a dude to just talk to me and deal with me however way, like, as if that's what they're supposed to do. You know? And then, like, surprisingly so, like, because my dad passed away, 6 years ago.
Okay, yeah.
And I've always been like, regardless of what they went through the divorce, I was always just like, I want to see my dad. I want to see my dad, and I love you, Daddy, and this, that, and the other. And then, like, a couple months ago, I don't even think I told y'all, but I literally broke down, and I was like, I started, like, I called my mom and I just cussed her out. Like, I was probably a little tipsy that night or whatever. And I was just like, because even, like, she was vexed with him and hated him all the way to his grave until now. So I was just like, and I was pissed at her because of that, because it was just like, it just talked so negative about my dad regardless of, she never used to go fully in depth of what they've been through, but I actually witnessed it as a child and never talked about it. You know, but still, like, I still have that love for him because that's my dad regardless of day, you know? And me and her have never even had, like, she can, like, talk down to me and tell me when it comes to things I'm not supposed to do in a relationship, and kind of like an aggressive way. It's not like sitting me down and just being like, you know what, daughter, let's talk about this. This is what men are supposed to treat you. It's more just like, you need to leave him alone. You know? Kind of thing. So it's just like, but it's just, now I'm thinking about it, I was just like, oh, Lord.
And it's funny you say that when they want to give relationship advice. And I look at my mom and I'm like, you've been, like, single from my dad since I was 6. I'm 42. And she's quick to tell you that I haven't had no man since I was, and I'm like,
Do you even like it's sewn up? Like do you even like how can you give, you know what I mean? So I do this. So it's funny that you said that, you know, that she gives relationship advice, and they're giving relationship advice from relationships that cause trauma.
I know.
You know what I mean? And if we're not smart enough to identify and aware to know that where it's coming from, we'll take that.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna apply that. You know what I mean? So that's why we need to be like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
like
your trauma.
That's your trauma.
And it's like the opposite for me with my mom. I'm the one that's like, I feel like I'm the mom sometimes.
Right.
So it's like I'm looking at her and I'm just like, nah, this is what happened.
Right.
This is what you got to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like there's like that role reversal.
Afterwards,
That's how you
yeah.
talk to me, commemorate.
I know. That's
We're the
oh
same
my
sign.
gosh. Like I'm like,
We're the same side.
Yeah. Well, you guys, this was an amazing show. We're nearing the end.
Fun.
I know. So this is.
I'm glad you guys were kind of tight in the beginning. You guys didn't want to talk.
It was me. It was me. Don't say that. It was me. It was me. I was like.
But I love these topics. I want to do more of these topics. I think it's just good for people to listen to, good for us to share. Do you guys want to give a shout out to someone? Let's start with ATL. Shout out.
Well, I'll give a shout out to my son. You know, I'll give a shout out to my son, Jude.
Yes.
For sure. But I also want to let y'all know that I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a licensed mortgage agent in Ontario.
Yes, I forgot to shout that out.
So,
Yes.
yes, I'm a licensed mortgage agent in Ontario. So I do all residential, purchasing property,
Right.
commercial, you know,
Right.
basically anything you want. You can contact me at my personal email at deidrejude@outlook.com. That's DIEDREJUDE at outlook.com. And I promise you, I'm the. Listen. Okay, fine. We close the tough deals. I can get you the best rates.
There you go. Okay, sis. I don't know how to top that one. I'm just picky. I want to shout out my beautiful children, K1, Deja, and Camille. I love you guys. Shout out my beautiful children, K1, Deja, and Mimi. I love you guys.
And your mom,
Thank
and
you
your
for-
mom too.
yes.
ATL, your mom, and our parents.
My
We love you
family,
guys.
Mommy, I love you.
Yes, and Miss Bling.
Miss Bing's over here recording. Who's gonna record you now? Let me record you.
So I want to shout out both of my children have their own businesses. Yes.
Yes.
So my son's business is
Sneaker Freaks.
Sneaker Freaks. Yes. He sells shoes. And then my daughter is Kai Kai Blast. KHI.
Blast. Yeah.
She sells bath bombs with surprise toys inside. And then for myself, it's Her Throne. What is it again?
Yoni Semen. All right. So shout out. So everyone, good night. Thank you for joining us. It's your girl, Miss
Thank you guys
Jeree.
for having me.
This is your boy Rooms.
Thank
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
We hope that you've enjoyed the EIP experience, a podcast for the people.
Hey, peace and blessings. This is Lucia D inviting you to join me each and every Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. for Honey Drop here on iLive Radio. Journey with me each week as I spin the latest international sounds in new soul, R&B, hip-hop, and a little taste of everything in between. Every show features independent producers from across the globe in the beats beneath, and the 10 sweetest vibes of the week smooth out the night in the 10 Drop. Honey Drop, each and every Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time, here on iLive Radio. Serving up audible treats like honey, always with a heavy beat drop.
Every Friday, take a trip around the world with music from around the globe. Colors of Rhythm with your host DJ Ron John. Fridays, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on iLive Radio, iliveradio.com.
This is Felicia Temple, and you're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio.
Hi, I'm urban Christian artist Kayla James, and you're listening to iLive Radio. iLive Radio. iLive Radio. iLive Radio.
This is Atina, and you're listening to iLive Radio, changing the way you listen to radio.
Hey, this is your boy Easman. You're listening to iLive Radio, supporting independent artists from around the world.
Hey, peace and blessings. This is Lucia D inviting you to join me each and every Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. for Honey Drop here on iLive Radio. Journey with me each week as I spin the latest international sounds in new soul, R&B, hip-hop, and a little taste of everything in between. Every show features independent producers from across the globe in the beats beneath, and the 10 sweetest vibes of the week smooth out the night in the 10 Drop. Honey Drop, each and every Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern Time here on iLive Radio, serving up audible treats like honey, always with a heavy beat drop.
Attention à tous les musiciens, groupes, associations, clubs et organisations qui représentent les styles collectifs de musique à travers le Canada. Le moment est venu de reconstruire nos genres de nations musicales collectives comme le hip-hop, le R&B, le jazz, le soul, le reggae, le gospel et plus unis. La Nation de la musique collective est une organisation à but non lucratif engagée dans le développement de la musique collective. Des adhésions gratuites sont disponibles dès maintenant. La Nation de la musique collective, une seule voix, la force dans l'unité.
Core Platinum, an organization where Indigenous and Black business owners can network, promote, and grow their business. Join their ever-growing Core Platinum website and be seen by customers everywhere. Plus, win jobs posted by interested customers. Looking for a reliable contractor or service? Use Core Platinum's platform to find service vendors, submit service requests, earn referral points, and more. Core Platinum. Sign up is free. Sign up now at mycpg.com.